Okay, so let's look at another election and another method to determine who wins the election. Candidates A, B, C, and D are running for an elected position at their place of business, and the preference table is shown there. We want to find the winner using head-to-head comparisons. Okay, so this is a long method, so let's take a look. For head-to-head comparisons, we are going to compare every candidate to every other candidate. All right. So first, let's just start with A versus B. We need to figure out how many people are going to prefer A and how many people are going to prefer B. All right, so let's look at A first. Certainly these 10 people prefer A because A is first in the preference chart there. So A is going to get those 10. Notice these people prefer B. So B is going to get those 8. These people prefer A, so we'll have 8 more for A. These people prefer B, so 7 more for B. Here's 6 more for A. Now, when we get to the, when we get to the next column, notice C is first, but C is not one that we're considering at the moment. So if we go down, it looks like A is preferred to B, so these 4 will go to A. Right here, B is first, so B is going to get those 4. A is preferred here, so A will get those 2. And then B is preferred in the last column, so B will get that 1 vote. Now, if we add them up, let's see, 18, 28, 30 for A. Oops, 30. And for B, 15, looks like 20 votes for B. Now, A wins this head-to-head competition here. And that means A gets 1 point. All right, so we've done A versus B. Let's do A versus C. All right, so again, we'll compare them, A and C. Okay, obviously A gets the first 10. When we go to our second column, A is preferred to C, so A gets the second. Now, as we do this, you may notice that A is really getting a lot of the votes here. So let's see, A gets the next one. So let's go back for a minute before I actually finish this and see that there is sort of a shortcut. There are 10, 18, 26, 33, 43, 47, 49, 50 voters here. All right, so let's just keep in mind there are 50 voters. So the majority is half of those voters plus 1. So half of the voters is 25, plus 1 is 26. So anybody who gets 26 votes, we can stop in our head-to-head comparison because they're going to have the majority of votes between them and the other person, and they're going to win. So let's notice already that A, in just the first 3 columns, has 26 votes. So I don't have to keep going. I can see that A wins this head-to-head comparison, and A gets 1 point. And I don't really even have to keep my tally going. All right, let's compare A to D. We may find a similar process there. So A gets the first 10, of course. A is preferred to D, so it gets the next 8. A gets the next 8 here, and again, oops, that's 26 already, so we don't have to keep going. A's already got a majority, so A wins, and A gets 1 point. Now, we've compared A to everybody now, so let's go to comparing B to everybody. Now, we've already compared B to A, so we don't have to do that one, but let's do B versus C. All right, so B versus C. Again, let me kind of move down here harder. All right, so if we look at this first column that had 10 people, B is higher than C, so B gets the first 10. If we look at the second column, B is again higher, so B gets the second 8. If we look at the third column, C is preferred, so C gets the next 8. If we look at the fourth column, B is preferred, so it gets 7. Now, we're not quite to majority there, so we have to keep going. In the next column, C is preferred, so C gets 6. In the next column, C is preferred, so C gets 4. In the next column, though, B is preferred, and now B has a majority. So we don't have to keep going to the last two columns. We see that B is going to win this. B gets 1 point. All right. So I'm going to see if I can't take this off to the side so we can still see our chart. We now need to do B versus D. And for that, we'll compare B with D. Okay, so B versus D. Well, let's notice in this first column, B is preferred to D, so it will get the first 10. And of course, the second column, B is above D, so B will get the next 8. And the third column, B is above D, so B will get the next 8. And that's 26 already, so we can tell that B is going to win this. B wins. B gets 1 point. All right, now we've now compared B to every other competitor. We now need to compare C to every other competitor. And really, we've compared C to A already. We've compared C to B already. So really, we just need to do as our last one, C versus D. So okay, so let's start with C versus D. C is above D in this first column, so it will get the first 10. D is above C in the second column, so D will get these 8. In the third column, C is above D, so C will get 8 more. In the fourth column, C is above D, so it will get 7 more. Not quite to a majority yet. But in our next column, C is preferred to D, and those 6 will give us a majority already. We'll have more than 26. So C wins. C gets 1 point. All right, so let's tally up now. At the end, the person with the most points wins the election. So we can clearly see that's A. A gets 1, 2, 3 points. B gets 2 points. C gets 1 point. And D gets no points. All right, now we could also rank these according to their order. A is first place, B is second place, C is third place, and D is fourth place. And sometimes we'll be asked to rank the order the candidates fell within the voting process. In the head-to-head comparison, it's according to points. Now, I will mention here too, if we do a head-to-head comparison and the two candidates have the same number of votes, we have a tie, and that means each one gets half of a point when we have a tie. Now, head-to-head comparisons is also known as pairwise comparisons, or your book will use Copeland's method. So realize if you see pairwise comparisons or Copeland's method, these are the same thing as you do your homework, and you're going to do the same thing we just did with these head-to-head comparisons.